On a nice and sunny Sunday evening, August 18, 1962, the Blessed Hope Church community gathered on the serene shores of Lake Talquin to celebrate their children and enjoy a day filled with food, fun, and fellowship. The air was filled with laughter, and the lake shimmered under the warm Florida sun. Families brought homemade dishes, and children played along the water's edge, their joyous voices echoing across the lake. It was a day meant to celebrate cherished memories.
My name is Johnny Watson, and on August 18, 1962, I was 18 years of age, turning 19 on September the 16th. It was an exciting time because this was an annual event in which we all look forward to celebrating with our Sunday school. Particularly, it was a motive for us to participate in Sunday school because we knew that we were going to have the Sunday school picnic. And if you were not a participant, you weren't really invited. But we were all excited to be part of this annual gathering.
My name is Renelle Watson Alberton. In 1962, I was 14 years of age. That particular day and that particular time was like we knew when we got to that lake we was gonna turn it up and gonna have a good time with each other. And once we got on our way to the lake, matter of fact, we went on the boss man truck, and my mama had told us to make sure that we sit down on that truck, that we do not get up. And on our way, I had another brother that was on the truck with us. He was older than I am. He was 2 years older than I am, and the kids was standing up on the truck. And I told my sibling, I said, "Y'all must say sit down. Do not get up on this. Stand up on the truck." And we was going through town, and my brother said this might be the last time they go through town. That particular thing happened. Then Elsie, the superintendent's sister, said, we're gonna remember this. And she took an axe and she hit in that tree 7 times, and she said, "Let me hit it." She counted them. Then she said, "Let me hit it one more time for good measure." And she hit it again.
I awakened like usually, excited to get ready to go, and Deacon Bowie, whom I always just call Joseph, but in proper title we acknowledged that he was my deacon. And of course, he picked me up early that morning to participate in fishing, to have some fish on the occasion. And we had caught a few fish, and the excitement was starting where everybody was ready to start our annual participation. And for most part, for most people, most young people, it was the first time to get on a boat and go into the water. And we were all excited about that.
This idyllic day took a tragic turn as the boat operated by Joseph Bowie ventured out 300 feet from shore. It suddenly plunged beneath the water. The joyous sounds of the picnic turned to cries for help, and within moments, the boat had disappeared beneath the surface, taking 17 children and their beloved teacher with it. Witnesses on the shore, including Mrs. Alzora Green, stood helplessly as they watched the disaster unfold.
I don't know who caught the attention of everybody that the boat was going down, but some of us on the show were the first to see that the boat was sinking. And my first observation was to see them all on the boat. They hadn't started falling off yet, but they were. Maybe some of them had already fallen off, but I couldn't see that much. But we were all screaming and what was happening. and not believing what we were seeing. And being, as I recall, as being one of the older teenagers or young adults there watching and trying, I was a helpless one because I couldn't swim. All I could do is stand there and scream and ask why everybody else wasn't doing something. But it was a time that was etched in all our memories of, why, as many people later asked, why and how this could happen.
When they got out there, like brother said, all that commotion started, then we realized that boat was capsizing, and it was just one of those days, and all I can remember, well, people coming, just gathering, like they came out from everywhere, just to the lake. How did that news travel so fast? I have no idea, but the news traveled looked like so fast, and it was just a sad time, a sad memory, But I thank God I'm still here, and He's still, my God, no matter what.
The tragedy left a profound impact on the small community of Quincy, Florida. Families were devastated, and the town mourned the loss of so many young lives.
And I still look back and reflect on that it was a blessing, but one that hurt so much. It was a blessing, and my mom would tell people all the time, be mindful of what you pray. And I said that because she would say be mindful because she was having so much time, such a hard time taking care of all those children, all of us. And what happened was God answered her prayer. But like I say, it's not always the way you want it. And then when you look back trying to understand it, you can't understand that it was a blessing.
After that incident happened, it was, I was like my brother. I always came home from school hoping that when I get there, they were going to be there. Nope, they wasn't there. And every time I came home, then I was disappointed. But it was one of those times that you just cannot forget. Even though when you look back at it now, it's hard to believe that, a loving God would take so many of your siblings. And then you got to understand it later. By and by, we understand it. So, by and by, I understood. No matter what goes on, God still get the glory out of everything that is said and done.
News of the tragedy spread across state lines and eventually countries' borders. It graced the pages of magazines and newspapers all over. The lone survivor of the ordeal was 11-year-old Jerome Maples, who managed to seize the boat and hold on until a passing fisherman could reach him. Dr. Green Powell knew Jerome Maples as a student and witnessed how this tragedy shaped his life.
I recall the incident happening very young, but I remember the somberness of everyone involved in it. I've forgotten how we actually got the news. My father was minister of Blessed Hope at that point in time, Reverend Robert Green, and I don't know how he got the word, but when it happened, it was just one of those really gut-wrenching times. Miss Watson, who lost, I forgot how many of her children, but 7 or 8, a large number of her children, but it was Jerome Maples who survived it all. After the incident, I remember going back to school, and none of our teachers would allow us to say anything. You couldn't talk about it at all. You couldn't even bring it up. Where St. John Elementary School is situated, the church, St. John School, is very near. Mrs. Watson was our custodial person, and she would, after the funeral, I think some of the children were buried out there. You could hear her at any given time crying and moaning, missing her children. And I don't know if it was in Miss Lillian Robinson's classroom, but Jerome Maples, our survivor from that horrible incident, said one day he wanted to talk about it. And he says it was his grandfather, I think he said, who taught him how to hold his breath. And that helped him live, is what he said. And so we couldn't react after he told us. She just said, okay, thank you, Jerome, for telling us that. But it was just never really discussed. And as I'm reflecting upon it, we were in 5th grade. That's a very heavy, emotional time to know that that many young people and adults lost their life, but you had a survivor. And it would have been so good for us to have a conversation to celebrate his survival, but also to talk about it. But for some reason, we were not able to talk about it until years later as adults. Then when we would see him, we would he would always talk about it. Not always, but he would talk about it. If I'm so glad that I survived it. I miss my friends. He'd say things like that, but it had to be on his own terms.
The impact of the tragedy resonated deeply within the community. It wasn't just a loss for the families, but for everyone who knew them, and those who were left behind and didn't get to meet their family.
My name is Christy Bowie Harrison. I am the youngest child of Joseph Bowie, who was the adult that was drowned with the children from Blessed Hope Missionary Baptist Church. I am the youngest child of my dad, Joseph Bowie, but I do have two brothers and 2 sisters. I have a brother, Derry Bowie. My brother, Michael Bowie, passed away in 2005, and I have a sister, Marilyn Davis, and Darlene Smith. I've been told that he loved farming, that he was very active in 4-H, that he won a lot of prizes, I guess, or awards, 4-H awards. I was told that he loved the children of the church and he worked a lot with the youth of the church. I was about 2.5 months old at the time of the incident. So everything that I know about the incident is from what I've read or what someone has told me. The biggest impact that this has had on my life is that today I am actually afraid of water. I don't know how to swim. It doesn't stop me from getting on a boat or going on a cruise. However, when I'm around a large body of water, it does affect me. I even have a pool at my house. Whenever my grandchildren are at my house and they're in the pool, I'm constantly watching them or just constantly watching over them. That's the biggest impact that it has actually had on my life. Of course, growing up without a father, actually knowing who my father was, but never actually knowing him is because I was so young. That, of course, has been a void in my life, not having a father in my life.
The memories of the tragedy and the lives lost continue to be honored by the community. Annual memorials and services are held at the Blessed Hope Church, ensuring that the lesson of that fateful day are never forgotten. As we reflect on the events of August 18, 1962, we remember the innocent lives lost and the enduring spirit of those left behind. Through their stories, we find strength and a reminder of the power of community. It also serves as a reminder of what came after: boating safety and a deep desire for children and adults alike to learn how to swim. Thank you for joining us. This has been a remembrance of the late Talquin tragedy, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit.